We're going to start with the rapid fire. The first question is, at what age do you want to retire?
I think never.
How long does it take you to get ready in the mornings?
It depends on what I have to do. Sometimes 2 minutes, sometimes 30.
Most embarrassing moment of your life?
Oh my God. Singing and playing the piano in public. I did that several times. I'm getting used to it, but it's still tough.
Favorite color?
Blue.
What time of day are you most inspired?
Midnight.
How many hours of sleep can you survive on?
I survive. I think I can survive with 4, but I'd rather have 7.
Fill in the blank. An upcoming technology trend is blank.
Is responsible marketing.
The city in which the best kiss of your life happened.
Best kiss. Paris.
Pick one, Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg.
It's too tough.
The biggest mistake of your career.
I think not starting earlier.
And how do you relax?
I sleep. I play music. I have time with friends.
How many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
Too much.
A habit of yours that you hate.
I'm always a bit late.
The most valuable skill you've learned in life.
Federate people and bring enthusiasm.
Your favorite Netflix show.
I don't watch that much. And favorite, it changes every year, I guess.
One word description of your leadership style.
I don't know. You have to ask people I'm working with.
Top priority in your daily schedule.
Enjoy.
Ideal vacation spot for relaxation.
Home.
Key factor for maintaining a work-life balance.
Being able to stop communications even when you have a pile of messages you have to answer.
All right, that's the end of the rapid fire. Let's go on to the bigger questions. The first one is, what was the initial spark that led to the creation of BlaBlaCar? How did you identify the need for a carpooling platform in Europe?
So the need for a service like BlaBlaCar came from a personal experience. I had to go back to my home place in Vendée, which is about 300 miles away from Paris. And all the trains were full. And I called my little sister who had a car. She came in, picked me up. And then we went on the road to go to my family. And I looked at the trains who were passing by and zooming faster than we were on the highway. And then all the trains were full because I knew I could not book a ticket in them. And then I saw all the cars which were empty. And I was like, oh, thousands of cars were going to where I'm going. And we could have booked seats in the cars, not in the train. And that's how it all started. Because I had the luck to have my sister to bring me to Vendée, but it was not a platform. It was just, you had to be lucky to know my sister, which doesn't make a service. Then I thought about the service where you can book a seat in all the empty cars everywhere. That's how BlaBlaCar started.
And so how did the name BlaBla come across?
The name BlaBla comes from your choice. When you register, you choose how much you talk during the ride. So are you a blah person, blah, blah, or blah, blah, blah? And so in your profile, it says if you're blah, 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 or blah, blah, blah. And this is why BlaBlaCar is called that way.
And so can you share some examples of how BlaBlaCar adapted its marketing strategies to resonate with diverse cultural contexts in different countries?
So, actually, we're lucky with concept like carpooling and BlaBlaCar because the simple fact of having cars and mobile phones and a network allows you to create the service. so we didn't have to adapt much on this. Everybody on Earth has been in a car, and now mobile phones and networks are everywhere. So it's just a different thing to go with someone you don't know. And then what we had to build is the trust network. So like all the trust features we have on BlaBlaCar to make sure you know with whom you'll be riding. This is something we had to build, but I would say everywhere, not in a single country in particular. We built it everywhere.
And so, as a regular commentator on the fast-changing mobility landscape, what do you see as the most exciting trends and innovations in this sector today?
Oh, there's a trend which has been around for a while, but it's still not a reality. It's called mass, mobility as a service. Everybody wants to reach mass, which is kind of the goal. Which means combining all the types of, all the means of transport together and having a ride where you could do partly in train, partly with a bus, partly with carpooling, partly with something else, ride hailing in the end or whatever. And so I guess several actors are working on it. We at BlaBlaCar have the potential to be a real combinator of the means of transport, because with the cars, we are able to go everywhere. And carpooling is kind of a universal plugin for mobility. It brings you to any other means of transport and also to your grandma in the countryside or to whatever holiday place.
And so what role do you think sustainable transport solutions such as electric bikes and scooters will play in the future of urban mobility?
I think it's a necessity to think about decarbonizing our transports, because we see that we should not add any CO2 in the atmosphere right now, any carbon. And so we have to rethink our mobility, because mobility is really a source of carbon, which is very important. And we will not be able to move around for long as we do if we don't reinvent all the means of transport that we're using today.
And so going back to the name of the company, and also you're known for your expertise in branding and communications. What are the key elements to successfully building and sustaining a global brand?
I think your brand has to convey the values and also be very memorable. So it's good to have a name which is easy to pronounce. Then it's good to make sure you always think about the values which are attached to your brand, and you update them according to the context. And you just don't think that the values that were attached to your brand 10 or 20 years ago can still be the same today, except if you're some kind of brand which builds its reputation based on the fact that it's been so old, that it's been 100 or 200 years. I would say for modern brands, you have to stick to the context and prove that you are relevant in an ever-moving context.
And so have you had any trouble with the name BlaBla by using that name somewhere, anywhere? Has there been any issues?
So, it's a name which has been striking to a lot of people because it's kind of either you love it or you laugh at it, and so at least it doesn't leave people indifferent. The day you've crossed the name BlaBlaCar, you remember it, and this is very important. Plus, it conveys a sentiment of conviviality, because you'll be exchanging with people. There is some empathy in it, the discussion, and also it has the name of mobility in it with the word car. So it's a very good brand. Plus, it's what we call a global brand. So it's global and local, because if you go in Spain, for example, they'll say BlaBlaCar and they'll think that BlaBlaCar is a local Spanish brand. If you go in France, we say BlaBlaCar and we think it's local as well, because the word Blabla is international itself.
So when you look at branding and communication, what are the key metrics and performance indicators you use to measure the success of all of this marketing?
Well, anything you can measure post launching a campaign is good. So the KPI you'll be looking at may depend from the campaign, of course, because it depends on the target you've chosen and also on the means of communication you've chosen, and also the period of the year. So it's hard to say which metric you would look all the time, except for BlaBlaCar, it would be the number of rides, the number of matchings that we have performed in our community of 100 million people worldwide in more than 20 countries. So depending on the campaign, you look at different KPIs, and it's important to keep in mind that the context and the diffusion and the targets change the way you look at the data all the time. So you have to discover and use all the tools which are available to you.
So you had a diverse and impressive academic and professional background, from physics and computer science to stints at NASA and NTT. What inspired you to transition from a career in scientific research to founding BlaBlaCar?
I think it's just loving novelty, trying to invent what hasn't been done already. You know, when you're a researcher, that's your goal, to discover something new, understand something new, see how it can apply to improve our lives and everything. And I think as an entrepreneur, it's the same. You look for things which can be made differently and which will improve your daily life. To me, like doing some research or being an entrepreneur is a very similar activity in terms of creativity, which is required. The difference with entrepreneurship is that you cannot build something on your own. You really have to make sure you bring a lot of people on board. You federate a team. You bring enthusiasm. You convey your vision in order to have a full team working on building the project. That's the difference when you're an entrepreneur. But other than that, creativity, innovation, passion for change, passion for the future, I think all this is common.
And so what advice would you give for young entrepreneurs or people looking for a job in your industry?
I would say project yourself in the hopefully near future where your product, your service will be very successful and everybody will be using it, and figure out whether you really think the world would be a better place with your product or not. If you're not convinced, you should change, I think, your project, because it means you may not have enough energy to cross all the difficulties that are ahead of you when you create a company. Because at least for me, what motivates me when I'm working like super hard building new things, it's to project a future where what I'm working for is existing at scale. And I know that it will be better for all of us if this thing exists. So it brings us to the challenges of our times, of course, like climate change and also all the social issues which come with it. So if you're able to provide a solution which will ease those changes, then you will get enough energy to go all the way and build something everybody will be using.
So speaking of making things work at scale, can you give us some key pointers as to how you got BlaBlaCar to work at scale?
You have to be obsessed with efficiency. And the good news is, and this is all the tech revolution, of course, the good news is that computers are very good at doing always the same things. So everything you do twice the same thing, you should ask yourself if a machine could not do it for you. And then you'll stay in the creative zone because you'll be different things every day. Because if you're doing always the same thing, it means probably a machine could do it.
Could you describe what a typical day at work looks like for you? You wake up in the morning and then?
There's no typical day. No, I do wake up in the morning. But I mean, so I wake up like around 7:30. But then there's no typical day. That's what I love.
Could you give an interesting story about any challenge that comes to mind now that you faced while in the development of BlaBlaCar? That is an interesting story that unfolded.
Well, I think it's a challenge everybody faces. It's credibility when you launch a project. So all entrepreneurs have that. I remember one day discussing with a journalist in the very early days of BlaBlaCar, and then he came and I spent like 40 minutes explaining why this project should flourish and it will be big and it will be international. And I gave him my whole vision. And then his conclusion was like, okay, so I understand. So you're pretty much alone. You've got almost nobody on your service. The people who are using it don't even pay you a penny to use it. It's all free. Well, how long do you think you're going to survive? And then I was like, okay, so my pitch was not very convincing. And then I told him, well, my family name is Mazzella. I've got Italian origins. I can eat pastas for 10 years. And so let's see you in 10 years.
And here we are.
Yes. So, and then that's how you survive as an entrepreneur. It's by staying frugal as well. You don't spend the money you don't have. And so the fact that, so of course, it's an image when you say you eat pasta for 10 years. I do eat pastas because I love them. But I mean, it's also the symbol of staying frugal with all your spendings in order to achieve efficiency in everything you build and being able to scale afterwards with unit economics which work. So don't spend the money you don't have. Be very careful in progressing. And pastas are the best friend of entrepreneurs.
Right. So the last question for you is of a personal kind. What would you be doing in your life if not this?
Well, I spent the weekend listening to Coldplay, and I thought, oh my God, that is a wonderful job. I mean, you go around the planet and you sing love songs to everybody. That must be an incredible job. So maybe I would try to do that, but I'm not sure I've got the talent. I'm Frédéric Mazzella, founder of BlaBlaCar's, carpool company, which is in more than 20 countries with 100 million people using the service. Catch me on the Technologist of the Month show.